Hey, you. It's a blind life. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the It's a Blind Life podcast. My name is Aria.
And I'm Belle.
And we are two legally blind sisters who decided to make a podcast just talking about our lives as blind people. It's a variety show. We talk about numerous topics. Just depends on what we feel like talking about that day. And yeah, there's no rhyme or reason. That's just what we do. We talk about what we want, when we want, and that's it. And today what we're talking about is what I like to call kind of a blind problem. And that is either, holding a book too close to your face to read, or holding papers too close to your face to read, or just the issues there are with large print in general. Now, one thing I don't think that most people know is that when you are in school and you are, given like the normal worksheets on normal size paper, there is a way for the copier to enlarge that piece of paper to something that's like kind of double the size of a normal piece of paper. Like if you would fold the really big paper in half, you would get a normal size of paper. But the thing is that those are just really, really cumbersome to deal with. As someone who has had to do it a lot, it's, there's always part of it that's off the desk, or it's like really high up on the desk and you're moving things all around and doing all of these things just to try to see a little worksheet.
Yeah, or, because both of us had to deal with these super big sheets of paper. When they came out with plastic folders, we had to really just invest in those because paper folders lasted like
2 seconds.
2 seconds. And even then, you'd get to like midway through the year or like towards the end of the year, depending on the class, and the folders just falling apart and the plastic's all sharp and jagged. And it's like, this is a weapon.
Yeah. When we were in school, at least, that is what you had to deal with when it comes to large print. Now that we're out of school and essentially in the real world, for actual large print options, they're really, really hard to find. Like, they're out there, but you just have to, really be looking, and especially for something like books. Okay, right? We're both readers. We have another podcast dedicated to reading. It's called Blind Girls Book Talk. Check it out. But when it comes to regular books, there is a large print section in the bookstore, but they very rarely have anything that's of interest to us. It's always Bibles, and there's maybe a reference book or two. And
let me be real here. The only reason they make these large print books, and you can't see me, but I'm doing quotation marks, it's for old people. Mm-hmm. That's who they do it for, and nothing against anybody's age. But as you get older, people's eyes start to go.
Yeah.
And that freaks a lot of people out, and sorry, hate to tell you, it happens.
Yeah.
And it's really not as big of a deal as people make it out to be. Again, this is also coming from someone who was born blind.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to find anything, especially growing up. They don't make large print books for middle schoolers.
Yeah. For the little kids, the print is bigger because they're learning to read.
But it's not bolded.
Right.
Whereas for the adult large print books, the print is larger and darker.
Yes.
So I'm just adding 2 cents.
Yes. It makes it really, really difficult when you're trying to find something that's large print to give your eyes a break. A lot of times it's if you have a very specific thing that you're interested in, to read or something, and you want that in a physical copy book, it can be darn near impossible to find what you want because chances are good it does not exist. Now, that being said, then you're kind of in this position where if you want to physically read a book, you can't find a large print book, then you have to kind of put the book an inch in front of your face or even closer. And a lot of people then get really weird about that sometimes. Like most people, I think, are just kind of like, meh, okay, whatevs. But other people, like, I don't know that I would say they have a problem with it, but it ain't good. You know what I mean?
I never had problems with like holding like books or paper very up close. Like nobody's commented to me on that. I have gotten commented because I like to read a lot on my phone, especially sometimes during senior year high school lunch. I'd find like an article on something or something like that I read on my phone. There are times when websites or articles or something like that, you can't zoom.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, my only option is to bring the phone closer to my face. And the only time I just had one person comment on it at that time. And this teacher, he also is the one who told me I need to smile more. No, I do not. Anyway, story for another time. Anyway, he, like, came over and he's like, you're like trying to tell me like not to hold my phone so close to my face. And my best friend just also happened to have this teacher, and I was kind of just like, he was like trying to like go like how parents are like, don't sit so close to the TV, you'll like ruin your eyesight and blah blah blah. He was trying to do the same thing with me to my phone, and I just kind of looked at him and I'm like, sir, I'm blind. I have to hold it this close to be able to see it. And my best friend just looked over and he's just like, yeah, she was born blind. You just gotta let her hold it. She's trying to read. And he like told the article I was reading. And he's just like, you just gotta let her hold it close to her face so she can see it. The teacher felt real bad after.
Yeah, well, and see, like, that's the thing, too, right? Because then you get into technology. And in some ways, that can really help when it comes to, like, holding something close to your face. Because for me, for my Kindle or for the Kindle app, you know, I have it on dark mode. I have the print higher than what I normally would. And that helps me to have it not quite so close. Like, it's still close, but that's just because also when you get to bigger print, sometimes it's just more difficult. You only have like so many words on the screen. And it gets to the point where you get like 3 words and like then you're moving it through.
Yeah, like I'm constantly just tapping. So like for me, I was the first one to get like the Kindles we use now, because we did have like the first generation Kindles. Yes. Those things sucked. I hated that thing.
I didn't mind mine, but then something happened to it. It like died or something.
I despised mine. I hated it. I don't know why. I absolutely despised my Kindle. I still can't tell you why, because everybody was like, oh, you should love this. Like, you can make the print bigger and blah, blah, blah. Looking back, I think it was the weird color and lighting of the background, because you could only have it the
gray or whatever it was.
The black text on like this grayish background. I don't know if that was the actual color. It was weird. I hated it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why I like despised my Kindle. Mm-hmm. And I gave it up. And it was fine. No big deal. And then in college, when I started to read more, when me and Aria shared her Kindle Unlimited subscription and I messed up all of her Kindle Unlimited.
I'm just starting to get that back.
I'm so not sorry.
No, you're not.
I'm not. Because you still get some good recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
You do. You know you do.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, whenever I got my newest Kindle for graduating, when I graduated undergrad, I have my font set to like 12. I don't go any higher. I can hold my Kindle down lower, but I can also hold it closer depending on how tired my eyes are, this, that, and the other thing. And like, I love my Kindle. I love the new Kindle. I love being able to put it on dark mode because like that just helps my eyes so much.
Yeah.
I love dark mode on things now. I have everything on dark mode now. I like don't think I could go back. If everything got rid of dark mode, I'd lose it. I would absolutely lose it. I cannot anymore. No. But anyway, so like I have that. I have the font lower on my iPad. And I just learned like some of the other reading apps I use, I can enlarge the font on those. So I started to enlarge the font. But like Aria said, you only can go so big. And like for me, I'm a very fast reader. So it's like, I don't want it to be super huge that I'm constantly just tap, 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 tap.
Yeah.
I would lose my mind.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And like, even when I was working and, you know, I would have to have the screen magnifier on all the time to be able to see stuff on the computer, I would still have to sit pretty close to the computer. And people all the time, oh, do you need glasses?
That's not
Yes.
going to help.
No, it doesn't help. I have them. They do nothing. Like,
And that's the other thing is for like working on a computer, I hate using my contacts. Like it just makes things on a computer screen so much smaller to me. So like it's why if I come home and I don't have to go out again, immediately contacts are coming out. So that way I can put on my glasses, I can put on my reading glasses. Thank goodness we have a wonderful eye doctor who does our glasses. Since the pandemic, he's been adding blue light, like the anti-blue light, whatever, to my glasses. So it cuts out on the blue light that I would get. And like, it's wonderful because I'm constantly sitting in front of a screen for law school. Even if it's like, I'm not typing something, I have like 5 things pulled up, like 5 different case summaries pulled up. And I'm like, okay, this is what I got. What am I missing? Go through all this stuff or, you know, researching something. And I'm like, okay, I have to go through this, 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 and this, and this now. And it's just a mess. So it's like, I try to do like readings and stuff at school, like when it's like paper. When it comes to like using my laptop, I'm constantly just like, I need to do it at home.
yeah.
I can't sit here with my contacts on. My iPad works a bit better. It works out a bit better with my contacts, but like, I'm still not happy with it. Another thing, touchscreen computer screens.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot not have that now. I was spoiled in undergrad, and that is the only way I can do things now. Like, I cannot.
And see, the thing is I've never been that technologically advanced. So for me, I'm just like, I don't understand what's going on here. Like, I couldn't tell you what's happening. It's very confusing. I don't know how to use her computer.
Yeah. But the other thing is, you liked the Zoom on Zoom text.
Well, and that's the thing, right?
I hated Zoom text. I still hate Zoom text.
So, for those of you who are sighted and don't know this, there are several different computer magnifying
Programming software
that you can get. I know of 2. One of them is more screen reader than screen magnifier, and that is called JAWS. The other program that I'm aware of is something which is what I used a lot, which is called Zoom Text, which is a mix of screen reader and screen magnifier. Now, JAWS, I never learned anything about. The way that it was explained to me, or not really explained, but like kind of the implication was that JAWS was for people who had little to no vision. Like, it was for like the mostly blind people. Zoom text was more so for people who were like me and Belle, who are legally blind, and they just need something that has a little bit of a screen reading function, but it also has the magnifier as well. Now, there may be other programs since I have been out of knowing what's on the cutting edge.
Yeah, there's probably some new stuff out there. Like, I'm sure there's new equipment that me and Arya just aren't privy to. But our visions teacher was more old school in some of her methods. And so, like, especially by the time I was in upper high school, I was an upperclassman in high school. I was so advanced because I had her from such a young age that it was like, I don't want to sit here and try to learn something completely new when I already know this and I know this works. I'm not wasting that time.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So then when it came to working with vision teachers and working with other camps who their goal is to help you learn, what works for you, Zoom text was always a big one for me. Zoom text was the thing that I went to, and it was okay. But then after I graduated, I didn't really have access to the newest version of Zoom text. And plus, employers and stuff were not going to be happy with me being like, yeah, if I'm going to be using multiple computers, I need to put this software on. It was already difficult enough to get me a job. I needed to kind of almost mitigate some of the things that I needed. So what I learned to do was to deal with the built-in screen magnifiers that all computers come with nowadays, which is nice because it is kind of like a non-talking version of Zoom text. And considering I never really used the talking function anyway, for me, the screen magnifier will do the job. Is it perfect? No, but it does the job enough that I can get through and do what I need to do when it came to both work as well as when it comes to me using my personal computer to edit the podcasts and to do anything that I need to do on a computer.
See, for me, since undergrad, and I had my lovely undergrad computer. Oh, that poor thing.
Is it officially dead?
No, it's still going. It's just very slow. It feels like it's on its last leg. That computer works like it's 15 years old.
Oh,
and it's just because of having to do school online and all of that and constant updated to Zoom and everything else. It still works. Mm-hmm. It's just slow as Moses. Mm-hmm. It is the slowest thing. And it's why for law school, I needed a new one. I'm like, this thing will die out on me. Mm-hmm. It doesn't hold a charge anymore. It's going.
It's slowly dying.
It's going on its last leg. And so, I got a new one and it was debated between me and my dad because I believe I said this in an episode, but in case anybody doesn't know, Apple is very blind person friendly. Say all you want about everything else wrong with Apple. I'm not arguing that, but compared to what else is on the market, Apple is the most blind person friendly out of everything.
That we have found, in
our opinion, it is the easiest thing that works the best. It has its problems, but it works for blind people really well that we have found.
Right.
And so I was half tempted to get a Mac because I was I can get that and, it'll be fine. Just transfer to that. And whenever we were talking, because it was okay, do I just get the Windows or do I get the Mac? And we were talking to the guy and I'm like, okay, is this touchscreen? Can I touch this screen? Does that work? And the guy was like, no, they haven't done that yet. And I was like, okay, we're getting a Windows. I'm not messing with this. Because
Right.
for me, it was like I was so comfortable with being able to use my undergrad computer to be able to just click on something with my finger. Because like for me, I struggle to find a mouse. Like once I like take my eyes off of it, I don't know where that sucker's gone. It's gone. And it lives in the ether because like I can't find it. Luckily, I even if I use like I like have my mouse all like it's bigger and it's darker and like the colors changed and like I did some accessibility things set up, I will still lose it. So for me, it's like I need that touch screen just for quickness.
Yeah.
To be able to work with that. And it also helps with zooming because I'm like, I want to be able to just zoom how much I want. I don't want to have to sit there and control alt plus sign and
And
multiple times.
And that's why, like, I have a Mac when I had to update my computer because,
That thing was dead.
yeah, my laptops hate me.
They had that one since college.
The one,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's almost 10 years.
Oh, well, at the time, yeah, it was almost time.
At the time, it was very much, but like, holy crap.
Yeah. But for this one I really, really like my Mac. Like, again, for me, not needing the touchscreen feature, like for me just doing the key command to make the screen magnifier happen, like that works really well for me. And like, yeah, I could play around and like fix the settings and fix this and fix that. But at the same time, for the amount of time that I use my computer, it's a lot slower than like what it was like if I would have to go to school or if I was like working on my computer all day, that I don't need to do that. Like I can leave the settings as they are. And like if I ever decide, hey, I'm going to go back to school or hey, I'm going to do this thing, then yeah, I'll mess around with it. But like right now, it's not that bad. So it's not something that needs to happen necessarily, you know.
I love how this has transformed into what we were originally talking about, into now us talking about technology.
Well, but I mean, it all kind of ties together.
It does, especially when, I mean, I found that like a lot of older people, if I am holding a book an inch from my face, they're not gonna care as much as if it's an electronic device. Because then I get, and especially because I'm younger than you, I got a lot of, oh, this generation is attached to their electronic devices. I am not. Like, if you know me personally, I hate technology. I hate it. I want to go back to pen and paper for everything. Mm-hmm. I hate technology. Absolutely despise it. However, I live in a technology savvy world. I have to figure it out.
Well, see, yeah, and that's the thing too, right? Like, I'm in a really weird position where I've had it all, right? Like, I've had the people who are just like, oh, everyone has to have their technology. Oh, you're going to sit too close, you're going to ruin, or you have that too close to your face, you're going to ruin your eyes, you need glasses. Then you have like the books. Oh, well, why are you doing that? You're going to mess up your neck, you're going to mess up this, you're going to mess up that. And like, that's the thing, right? That's
grade school already messed that up with large print.
Well, no, and that's just it. Like, I already know that my neck is messed up. Like, my neck and shoulders are messed up. I think I'm already starting to develop a bit of a hump like in my back. And I'm trying to fix it, but at the same time,
it's so hard for us when we have to be hunched over.
Yeah.
To be able to see. Like, we can't just be able to have correct posture and be able to see what we need to see. Like, for me, I was so small for when it came to my large print, to read the top of something, I either had to sit back, put the thing in my lap, and, like, struggle because the thing was, like, half of me growing up, or I'd have to put it on my desk, which covers the entire desk, and then I'd have to sit on my knees and just like yank myself over my desk with my arms to be able to read the top of the page.
See, and that's just it. Like, for me, a lot of times I would just have the paper on the desk. Some of it is falling off the desk. I'm sitting on like one of my legs, like just trying to like get enough height to be able to see what I need to see.
But you were also bigger than me. Like,
not by much.
Not by much, but like you had some more of you compared to what I had.
Yes.
I'm too small for everything.
Yes.
So like it was the biggest struggle.
Yes, but so like there's where the problem lies. And like some people are like, oh, well, I use the glasses where like it has like the mirrors where like you're essentially it shows you like if something is in your lap, like, if you have like a book, you can just like read it through there. Or like a lot of the crochet creators that I've seen, on Instagram and stuff. I'll be like, oh yeah, I use that so I can like check in with my stitches, but like also I can still see the TV and like this works great. And I'm like, that's great for you, but like that isn't gonna work for me because it's just like I already struggle enough just seeing normally that adding one of those like pairs of glasses is going to confuse me so much.
It also doesn't help that I get motion sick. And you get seasick, and those things are not.
I get air sick more so than I get seasick.
Well, I just know seasick. I've not been with you much on a plane.
No, it's
I
air
don't want
sick.
to be. I don't want to be with you on a boat, let alone a plane.
I am not that bad. Okay, I don't know what it was about the last boat that I was on that made me ill, but normally I am fine on boats.
It's fine. I was not fine on that boat.
I don't know what it was.
I get motion sick now, so like the noise of that boat, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about that boat, but normally I just get airsick.
No, but if you're fine, it's a lot of, we're gonna sink.
Shush. But anyway.
But yeah, anyway, so like those things aren't going to work for us. Like it's bad enough, like down here where we live, there is a lovely bakery and cafe that we now go to because a professor introduced me to it. We love it. Mm-hmm. Like it is so good. And while there, like, I don't want to get so close to the showcase boxes. So I'm like pulling out my phone and using the camera, and it's like I feel bad because I'm like, I swear, professor, I'm not ignoring you. Like today I met with her. And I'm like, I swear I'm not trying to ignore you or anything. I'm just trying to be able to see what they have.
Oh, no. And that goes for even like the big menus, like when you go like fast food places and that kind of thing.
Yeah. We
have to use our camera to like pull it closer so we can see what's there, especially if it's a place we don't go often. And I think we've talked about this before, but like, you have to kind of do what you have to do.
Yeah, it's like we don't like going to places that we don't know. Mm-hmm. Like we are very much now like creatures of habit. Mm-hmm. Of when we know something, we don't experiment with things. We know what we like, and that's what we get.
Right.
Because we don't want to sit there and have to mess with figuring out what they have and what they don't have and this, that, and the other thing. Like, it's not worth it for us.
Right.
So, like, going to places like cafes and stuff. Like, today, I just learned they had a chai latte.
Oh, good to know.
I was trying to see if they had one, and I couldn't find it. And luckily, I just looked again on my one photo that I took of their menu, and I found it, but I already ordered a lemonade, and it was like, oh, okay. Well, it was fine. Their lemonade is lovely. I had a blackberry lemonade. Off topic. Their blackberry lemonade was so good.
Interesting.
Sorry. I'm going. I love this place.
It's very nice.
It's very nice. They do flavored lemonades, and their lemonade is divine.
It's very good. But anyway. So, like, I literally just found this out today. Like, I figured they had one because, like, what cafe doesn't? Mm-hmm. But, like, I didn't know. Yeah, and that's just it. Like, and we do, like, it almost has to be that we have to be in the right mindset to go exploring and to try other things.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's just like, I don't want to have to go through the whole process of trying to figure out what they have and what I'll like and what I want. You know, I just
Yeah.
want to like go and just get the thing that I know that I like. And like, that's it. Like, one and done, like, great, fantastic.
Let's go.
We're moving on.
We're moving on. It's done. Yeah. And that's how we both are, because it's like, it becomes such a struggle, especially when we're with other people.
Yes.
That aren't our parents. Because I
Yes.
don't want to sit there with friends and have to be like, oh, okay, what's the, like, can you read me off the menu? Like, I don't want to be that burden.
Well, and that's
And
just
it's
it.
not,
Like,
and like, you know, all of our friends are like, oh, that's not a burden. It might not be a burden to you, but I know that personally I'm inconveniencing you from doing what you need to do.
yeah. Yeah. So it's just, especially when it comes to that, that's like a whole thing. And I think we've talked about some of that before, but like, it's just a whole process when it comes to reading stuff. And I mean, it is a very visual world. You know, there's a lot of signs, there's a lot of things to read and things to do. And like, there's a reason why we don't read like magazines often, if ever, because if reading a book is difficult, magazines are even worse.
Yeah.
It just becomes this whole thing where it's just like, it can be a lot and you can get very bogged down in all of that and just being like, oh, there's all of these things that like I want to do and blah, blah, blah. And I feel like I can't. And that's not the case. You can. You just have to find
A way to do it.
what it is that works for you and the way to do it to accomplish that goal. Like for reading, the Kindle works wonders. If I wasn't going through the worst reading slump of my life, I would be, you know, trying to read more of my physical copies. And that's something I've been wanting to try to do. But like,
But now the ease of the Kindle has just brought that down,
Yeah.
which is very, it's hard because we love reading
yeah, and that's
regular books.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I'm to the point where I'm about ready to just be like, I just need to, whatever books I can get that are physical copy books, like if it's something I really want to read, I need to try to buy it on Kindle. Like that's just what needs to happen.
See, and I'm now the opposite of like the one, if anybody listens to the book podcast, my one latest series that I've raved about, the 4th book's coming out. And I'm like, I'm just going to try to buy it on paperback because I want that series in physical copy. So why not just order it then instead of having to just sit there and be like, is it going to be on Kindle Unlimited? Are they going to do this? Because I don't want to waste the money to buy it on Kindle. Also, because my Kindle, our mom messed up and got me the lowest storage option. She messed up. We found that out. Yeah. Which is fine. Like, personally, it's no big deal, especially because I read a lot of Kindle Unlimited. Mm-hmm. I don't want to sit there and buy the book on Kindle.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that.
And see, this is where I haven't figured out what works for me yet, because I'm to the point where I'm just like, I want to read this book, but reading it in hard copy form just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So part of me is like, it would almost be better to read because I am also one of those people that I want to have my trophy shelves of like, yeah, I read that book and like, yeah, I really liked it. So like, that's where I think I'm kind of struggling a little bit as to trying to figure out what is the best way of going about how to get these books that I'm interested in getting.
And for those people out there who are like, the overconsumption of books and we're the problem, you know what? I can't spend my money on other things, so like, let me have this.
Well, and that's,
I'm providing for the economy in the way I can. Leave me be.
The overconsumption thing is a whole.
Yeah. I'm just bringing that up because I keep seeing the overconsumption of books and blah blah blah, and it's getting on my nerves. So that is my 2 cents for that, because I'm frustrated, especially when it's for me. We don't really want to use the library because, again, we have to hold it very close to our face. Things happen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what else you want me to say.
Yeah. Like, the thing about, for me in library books, and again, I get this is how libraries work, but also it doesn't work well for me, is that you can only get so many books. You can only do so many things. Like, there's only so many copies of this thing. And like, you might be waiting forever and a day to read it. Okay,
also,
if that works for you, fantastic. I'm glad for you. I want that. Like, I want that to work for you. It just doesn't work for me.
Especially with us growing up, when to get to our library, our parents had to take us. If we read from the library, we'd be going there every other day.
Yeah.
And we didn't have the time to be able to do that.
Yeah. It was not going to be, a whole thing where it was like, oh yeah, we're just going to, we can make the weekly trip to the library. We would not be getting
that would not be happening.
Books to get us through a week.
Yeah. When you have other extracurricular activities growing up, you don't have that time, and our school library was absolutely crap.
Yeah.
So, like, that wasn't an option.
Yeah, once you got past elementary school, the library was just...
You didn't go there.
It was sad.
It had nothing.
It was so sad.
It had nothing. You didn't go there. It wasn't worth anything. No, you don't... It just didn't happen. And, like, for me, especially once I had an injury, so I had to give up some of my extracurricular activities, I was going through, like, 1,000-page books a day. That wasn't feasible. Yeah.
And again, I understand where people are coming from in a way, but also, like, there are way worse things that there can be an overconsumption of. I don't get why we're coming after the overconsumption of books, but again, that's just me, And I guess the other problem I have with that too is, again, the whole, there's no large print of what I want, because a lot of people would be like, oh, just go to the large print or go to the audiobooks or the books on tape. They don't have what I want.
And for audiobooks, I believe I've complained about this, because our hearing is so sensitive. Some of the audiobook voices hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like nails on a chalkboard for us.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to be mean or anything like that. It's just...
Everybody has their preferences.
And I'm not going to sit there and try to struggle to find a narrator in the book I want.
Yeah, and that's just it. For a lot of audiobooks, they have one narrator. So if you don't like the narrator, you're not getting that book. And it's easy for something like Audible, where you can sample it. But for like the books on CD or tape at a library, you can't sample that. You have no idea.
Oh, and like, I believe I've complained about this on our book podcast. Because of our vision, our librarian in elementary school wouldn't let me take out anything but books on tape. Mm-hmm. That is the only thing she'd allow me to take out. And of course, the only books that they had on tape were like 10 of them, and most of them for little kids. So like I had 2 books that I circled through. And it was like, one week I took out this book on a horse, and then the next week I took out like some other book. I forget what it was. And then I would just go back to the horse book, and then the other. Like, that's what I had to do, because I didn't have anything for me.
Yeah. And so like that's just it. Again, it can be a whole process for, especially if it is someone who is visually impaired and they like reading, they enjoy reading. It can be a whole process to find the things they want, to find the things that work for them. And it's not as simple as just enlarging a worksheet or enlarging a textbook or or some people will just use their magnifiers for that. I wish I could do that. I wish I was that person, but I'm not. It's already hard enough to use a magnifier for when I work on like diamond paintings. Like that's already a whole process. To actually do that to read a book, it would just be...
It would make the activities that we like to do not worth it.
Yeah.
It really would. And like, it's difficult because like, as we said with restaurants, I know, if we would go up, we can ask for like accommodations. Like, hey, do you have a paper menu that I could look at? Or could you tell me, like going to the cafe, could you tell me what you have? Like we realistically could do that. The issue with us is we don't look blind.
Yes.
So, that doesn't help our case because we look normal.
Yeah. And then to have... It would just open up a whole other can of worms and start a whole nother fight that we don't need to have or we don't want to have because it's not trying to be difficult. It's not trying to make somebody's life worse. We're just trying to live.
Like we want to just go through our life and not make other people's more difficult.
Yeah, when it can be helped.
When it can be helped. Like, are there times where we need help? Yes. But we try to do what we can by ourselves before we have to ask for help.
Yes. Or there's some times where you have people like just standing like over your shoulder and like you're trying to do it, but then you just have like that person just standing there.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I can do this, but you standing there is not helping me. So I'm just going to let you do it because I can't. Like, I just cannot.
Yeah, that's the other super hard thing when you're just like, I can do this. You just need to give me space.
Yeah, you just need to give me like 2 minutes to like figure it out and I will figure it out. But I'm not doing it when you're breathing down my neck and like just over my shoulder, just like, well, meh, and it's like, please leave me alone.
Yeah, like I'm okay. Like, can you like back up a minute? Like, let me figure this out.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, there are a lot of topics that got thrown in here that I wasn't expecting when we started this episode. But like, honestly, they all tied together. I can understand why there are some blind people who are just like, I don't read. Like, reading isn't for me. No. And I can understand it. I wish it wasn't that way. But also, I understand why they feel that way. I get it. Because it can be challenging. It can be hard.
Yeah, and that's just large print. Getting Braille books,
oh gosh,
is a completely different thing.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about Braille.
No,
because the thing is, I don't know how to read Braille. I was not pushed to learn Braille, and I'm kind of glad I wasn't because I think I would have cheated the system.
So out of the two of us, I was the one, when we went to a National Federation of the Blind convention, I was first introduced to Braille. And I thought it was cool. I wanted to learn it, and it was what it was. Here's the thing with Braille. They have a combination of dots for each letter of the alphabet. Makes sense, right? It's the alphabet. You would think that would be all they have. No, it is not. So after you learn the alphabet, you start learning conjunctions. Like for or, they have something. For TH, they have another set of dots. Like they have like these to make it shorter to type out some things. They have these sets of letters that are most likely together, and it's its own thing. You have to learn it. Here's the thing. They keep changing it. So you don't know anything because they keep changing it. So you're like, okay, is this type the old way, this new way, a 20 years ago way? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating. So like I got to like halfway through learning them and they changed the code.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm done. I'm done. I got this far. I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't want to learn it. I'm done.
Yeah.
Because I got so frustrated. I'm like, why are you changing this?
Mm-hmm.
It's dumb. So I gave up on it. I do know basics.
Mm-hmm.
But like, that's as far as I can get you.
Yeah, and see, I think my thing is that I would have found a way back then. If I would have learned back then, when I was small, I would have cheated the system so much.
Oh, girl, in some of the exercises, some days I just get so frustrated I cheated the system because I was like, I just want done with this exercise. I'm tired. It is either way too early for this nonsense or way too late in the day for this nonsense. I want done.
Yeah.
So like I would just be like, I'm cheating.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I would do. So, but getting a Braille book is darn near impossible. Like you
It's
have
ridiculous.
to go through so many different hoops. Like there's special places that you're supposedly able to get them, allegedly. But like half the time they don't have them.
Half the time they don't have them, or like you have to send a special request, and then you have to wait for it to be made, and like it ain't worth it.
Yeah. It's a whole time. So I can understand why people who have even less vision than us are just like, reading isn't for me. Like I know it's a no. And I wish it wasn't that way because I love reading personally, but also just knowing all the hoops we have to jump through and knowing all the hoops that they have to jump through, I can understand just being like, this is not worth the effort that I have to put in to get very little out of it. So I get it. I 100% get it. It's just like times are had.
And this isn't even going into color differentiation.
No, that's a different story.
Yeah, that's another episode.
That's another episode. But yeah, so like I said, it is just a times are had. It can be very difficult. As we said earlier, you just have to find what works for you. What works for me and Belle is a combination of the Kindle, of screen magnifiers, of using just other things to help move things along. You know, there's a list of things that we can do to make it a little easier for us that we've kind of gained over the years.
And just because this works for us now does not mean this is what's going to work for us in 5 years.
Yeah, it's always like something is always changing and always evolving. If you would have asked me back in high school if I would be listening to audiobooks, I would have laughed in your face.
If you told me in high school I'd be using a Kindle, I would have said, what drugs are you on? Because you are not on the planet that I'm currently living on.
Yes. So it changes. Things change. You're able to give time and energy to like trying a new thing. And like, that's okay. It's allowed to change. Like we've always said, we are some of the worst blind people out there. We are very, very stubborn when it comes to certain things.
Our poor father, he keeps being like, oh, maybe try this. Maybe this will help you. The poor dear the other day, he just found out. He said, Belle, do you know that you can talk to Siri on your phone and it will call people for you? Yes, Father, I knew this. How do you think I get a hold of people when I'm having an ocular migraine and have no vision?
Yeah. So technology changes, things change, people grow, they try new things. It all kind of twirls together. And like I said, it can be difficult, but eventually, if you want to pursue whatever it is you want to pursue, you will figure out the thing that works for you. As much as this seems like it's all doom and gloom, it's not. It can just be very, very, very difficult sometimes. And sometimes you just need to like vent about it and just be like, this sucks. I don't need anybody to fix it for me. I just need to talk about how it sucks.
Yeah, there's a reason me and Arya have like a yearly breakdown.
I think mine is more bi-yearly.
I don't know. I haven't had one in a while.
I haven't had one in a while either.
So, like, that's saying something. And I'm going to knock on wood because it may have just jinxed the both of us.
Probably.
I think the most recent was when we found out that in certain states we could drive.
Yeah, probably that.
I think that was the most recent. And that was a couple years ago.
Yeah, it probably was. But yeah, sometimes you just need to just be like, man, as much as I wish things were normal, they're not. This sucks. Okay, now I can figure it out. Sometimes you just have to do that, and that's okay. Everybody deals with things in a different way, and that's okay. Everyone has their own way to do it, and other people might have a very different thought process on this than what we do. But again, like I said, we are some of the worst blind people out there.
Like, whenever I say this and people look at me and laugh, I'm like, I'm not joking you. Like, I will find probably the hardest way that some people will probably say, I do things the hardest way possible. But it's what works for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that that's what's going to work for the next person, but this is me. I will do what I can, or I'll try to find a way to solve the issue before, like, by myself before I come to somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some professors, they'd have color-coded stuff. I'd be like, okay, how do you want me to do this? Because, like,
that ain't happening.
So, you know, it was always a fun thing for the professor to be like, oh, yeah, oh.
Yes.
How do I fix this?
Yes.
And so, you know, those are those types of things. But, like, it's stuff, like, other than that, like, if it's something else, I'm like, I'm going to figure it out. And, you know, it's those learning curves. Like, some professors, like, in college couldn't believe that, like, I knew I could walk blindfolded around campus and always know where I was because I count my steps. They're like, how can you do that? And hold a conversation with me at the same exact time.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to do it for so long.
Yeah.
If I wanted to know where I was.
Yeah.
I had to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody has their own way, and that's okay. You know, somebody else's way might be different, and that's cool too. Whatever works is okay. So that being said, we want to thank you for coming along as we talked about the trouble with large print and just how we live life with reading and other things like that in general. Of course, if you like this episode, if you like what you've been listening to, please consider following the podcast and sharing the episode with your friends. It would really help us to grow the show, and we would appreciate that support. And hey, if you just want to leave a review, that would be okay too. And then what are we going to be talking about next time?
The upsides to being blind.
Oh yeah, that will be nice after this.
There's upsides.
There is upsides.
There are upsides.
There are upsides. So that being said, hey, don't forget that it is a blind life, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.